Welcome back to another episode of Turing Dev Talks, where we talk about the basic concepts and skill sets that top American companies look for in software engineers. I'm Melina, tuning in from Gurgaon, India, and today we have a very special guest tuning in from Poland. Krzysztof has 14 years of experience in the software industry with names like Intel and Reuters. He also is an expert in Python, C++, JavaScript in terms of languages, and DevOps and cloud technologies. Today, we'll hear him speak about Python, also known as the language of the future, its applications, recent trends in the industry, and why you must be well versed in Python to become the master of all in the software industry. Hi, Krzysztof. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much for joining us for this discussion. How are you doing? And how are things in Poland these days?
Hi, Alina. Thank you for having me today. Poland is doing well. We have a hot summer and COVID cases dropped, so we can finally go out and enjoy time with friends and family. It's a great time in Poland now.
Okay, that's interesting. So, Krzysztof, it's been a while since you joined Turing, and I think you would have some amazing points to talk about the company. How has your experience been so far, and how is this different from all the other stints that you've worked at previously?
Turing has a wide database of clients, so it can provide a great match between the developer skills and the client expectations. And the interview process is, of course, online, and it's really fast. I had like 2 hours of Turing internal interview, and then half an hour interview with the client, and I got the job. Thanks to Turing, developers can benefit from higher salary and interesting jobs without relocating or obtaining the visa. And I work for a Silicon Valley startup, which is in early stage, very innovative, very smart people, and I'm really enjoying that work.
Okay, that's interesting. Looks like Turing really is keeping you happy. And honestly speaking, it's a pleasure meeting developers from across the globe who are happy with Turing.
Yeah, I'm really happy with Turing, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Now, Krzysztof, I believe that you're working on Python, right? So, and that is also known as the language of the future. Why do you think that is the case? And what makes Python that popular in this field?
So, Python is a language which is very easy to learn, and it has a lot of libraries, and also the development of AI frameworks and machine learning libraries in Python helped in growth of Python and in demand for Python developers. Almost 14% of Stack Overflow questions are tagged with Python, and it's followed by JavaScript, and this trend is going up, and this is for the reason, actually.
Okay, that's a very interesting trend, Krzysztof. And in fact, I have another trend. According to QLogic, Python is a more popular language over C++ for AI, and it leads with a good 50% vote among developers, which is another great insight, I think. And I think it is mainly because it is easy to learn and implement. What do you think?
Yeah, so C++ is used for implementing backend of AI frameworks. This is for performance reasons, but the interfaces are in Python. So the vast majority of developers can use only Python for their AI projects.
That makes Python a very important language for all AI and ML engineers.
Yeah, of course. I think it's the main language for them.
Okay. So now that we're on the topic, Krzysztof, what do you think are the major advantages of using Python in machine learning and artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so there are multiple points why it's important and used frequently in those projects. So first is that it allows rapid development. So Python has this ability to create a quick prototype and then move from that prototype to full product also quite fast. And it has a minimalist syntax, easy to read, and allows building powerful programs with a few lines of code. So Python is very flexible. It allows you to choose between object-oriented programming or some scripting, and enables quick result view without completely recompiling the code. And there is a lot of libraries for various tasks, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but rather connect the like library functions like Lego bricks. And also it's very important to say that sometimes you can hear the opinion that Python is slow. And this is in general not true when you use it correctly. Because a lot of Python libraries are written in C++, and this is really fast. And sometimes you may have a problem to solve, which is not available in any library. But here we have solutions like PyPy or Numba, which provide a just-in-time compiler for Python. And they sometimes can beat Java or C in terms of performance. So it's if you use it correctly, it's not slow, or not slower than Java. There is a very nice tool called Jupyter Notebook, which supports Python, and this is very popular among data scientists. And it allows them to mix the Python code or fragments of Python code with visualizations or some comments. So they can use Python graph or chart libraries to visualize their data.
So I think those are some really interesting advantages of Python, of using Python, especially for AI and ML. And this does seem to give Python an upper edge over all other languages.
Python is really the most important language for machine learning and AI.
And that definitely seems so. And I think here we should also talk about Python libraries now that we have come this far that make artificial intelligence seamless. Could you list some of those libraries so that it could help give aspiring developers a better picture of what all Python entails?
Yes, so we have deep learning libraries like TensorFlow, Keras, Fiano, PyTorch, and they are basically for the same task, like training and then using deep learning networks. But I would advise if you just starting with AI to learn Keras, which is now it's a part of TensorFlow, but it's easier to use. So basically it's like higher level of abstraction for TensorFlow. I think it has also backends for other frameworks. So it's also flexible. And there are libraries for other parts of machine learning, because machine learning it's not only about deep learning. A lot of problems can be solved with more simple algorithms like clusterization, k-means, linear regression. So there is this library called scikit-learn, which has a lot of algorithms there. So basically, if you have some machine learning problems, maybe it's better first to look there, and then if there is no solution, then implement the solution on your own or try deep learning. And there is this library called Pandas, which is also very important. It's all about the data manipulation. And it's really frequently used by data scientists because sometimes we have data sets. They are in different formats, and you can like mix them, aggregate, extract something. So it's easy to manipulate data with pandas.
Okay. I think all of these libraries give good reason to all aspiring devs to switch to Python if they are into other languages. Here, aspiring devs, I would like to note that Turing has exciting opportunities for you. If you are confident about your skill sets, especially Python, you can head on to turing.com/jobs today and sign up on our platform. Now that we've learned about Python and its applications in the industry, Krzysztof, I think it is the best time for our developers to know more about the scope of learning this particular language. I think they would like to know more about the future prospects, especially in terms of employment opportunities. What would you like to say about that?
Yeah, so because there is very high demand for Python developers, if you learn Python, you can land a very good job. And there is a very wide range of things which you can do. So, for example, you can be a backend developer, like implementing some RESTful services. You can be a DevOps and write some automation scripts in Python. By the way, Python is very good for automation. We should mention that. And also you might implement some Lambda services in the cloud. There are some game frameworks based on Python, so you can implement your game. Of course, the whole AI and ML is Python. Yeah, and for example, if you want, for example, to implement some web crawler, you can also use Python for that. In terms of employment opportunities, a recent survey suggests that Python saw a substantial increase from 70,000 jobs postings in September 2019 to close to 80,000 postings in February 21.
All right. So I also came across another survey by PYPL Index, which quoted that as of February 2021, Python was the most popular programming languages amongst all the other languages. And this data is based on how often its tutorials were searched on Google. And this had a good 30.6% market share, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Okay. And here I would like to add that Turing has 200 plus live job postings in the field of Python itself. So if you are willing to apply to elite US companies in the Silicon Valley, I think it is the best time for you to head on to turing.com/jobs today. Coming back to you, Krzysztof, I think your story is an inspiration to a lot more developers out there. I would say a million more developers out there who are looking for long-term, full-time opportunities with good companies. So, if you are to elaborate more on the vetting and matching process of Turing, how was your experience? And I think your insight would give aspiring devs a good idea of what the vetting and matching process at Turing looks like, and they might be more motivated to apply.
My process was very simple. So I uploaded my CV, filled some forms on the Turing website, but it wasn't a lot of typing, just few small forms. And then I was invited to interview. So I had like 2 hours of interview, one about Python skills, and then second about DevOps skills. So in total, it was 2 hours, and I felt great. It wasn't very stressful. I would say that the process was smooth. Yeah. So the interview process is very smooth. So you upload your CV, and you can get a email from Turing with invitation to interview. So you can just take part in that interview in the time slot which is convenient for you. And after that, if it's successful, and if you are a good developer, of course, it will be successful. And then you will get a call with some proposition for working for some of the clients. Yeah, and then this from my story about client interview, it was very simple. So I had like 30 minutes call, and I got the job.
Okay, that's an amazing story, and I think now that you've mentioned that your story with the client has been super smooth and super amazing, it would motivate a lot of developers to apply to Turing as well.
Yeah, of course, guys, apply to Turing. If you are bored in your current jobs or want to develop yourself or want to work for Silicon Valley startups, or maybe you want to learn some new skills, maybe you want a better salary, apply to Turing, and yeah, that's my advice.
So Krzysztof has said it, everybody. I think he would love to have you at Turing. He would love you to join Turing with him. So if you're interested in joining Turing, head on to turing.com/jobs today. Okay, that was quite an interesting discussion, Krzysztof, and I think it is time to wind this session up. But before we sign off and before we let you go, do you have any quick tips for aspiring developers who are willing to learn Python? Are there any learning platforms or tutorials that they can look up to for learning Python?
Yes, so I have some advice for aspiring developers or senior developers who want to learn Python. So it's always good to have a specific goal when you learn a new subject. So, for example, you can set a goal to implement a small application or script, solve some problem, or improve some solution for a problem. And then you can put your code on GitHub to share it with others, and then also be noticed by employers. Yeah, so that's one thing. And another great way is to take some Python or AI course online. I took a AI specialization on Coursera, and I learned a lot of AI stuff and also improved my Python. And there are also coding platforms like Let Code, which can help you improve your algorithmic skills, data structures, and Python is very popular there. So it's a good place to like learn new language if you don't have a like specific idea what to do, because there are tasks to solve, and you can just spend like 1 hour, solve one task, and you have this reward that you've done the job. So this is very nice, and I advise it also to senior developers to refresh their algorithmic skills. I think every Python developer should learn Flask, which is a nice library for implementing RESTful frameworks. It's very simple and very powerful. And I would suggest learning and using some test framework like PyTest, and use PyLint for style checking to ensure high code quality. This is very important because employers are looking at that. So that they not only look at your, let's say, algorithmic skills or problem solving, but also at looking at your code quality, and they check whether you can implement unit tests, because this is very important in teamwork, and also to ensure the the project has very little or no bugs.
Okay, that was some awesome advice. And I think that was really helpful for all aspiring developers out there. And I hope that these tips and resources smoothing the learning process for all developers. And thank you so much for all the great insights, Krzysztof.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure to talk to you.
And thank you for being a part of a global community of extremely skilled developers and engineers. We hope that this video reaches the larger developer community and helps us give great opportunities to developers like you out there from across the globe. To everybody out there, if you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at support@turing.com. Let us know in the comments below who you would like to hear from in the next video and what you would like to learn in the next video. Give us a big fat thumbs up if you like this video, and do not forget to subscribe to Turing.com. We will be back with many more such Turing Dev Talks and Turing Developer Diaries. Till then, stay safe, stay home, and click on the link in the description below to apply to Turing. Happy working!